Steelers win in Cleveland. Now Odell Beckham Jr. doesn't want to play there anymore. Trying to come to an agreement there. Cleveland.com reporting he's played his last down for the Browns. Ryan Clark is with us. The Steelers survived that game despite not having a kicker in the second half. Ryan, back in your Steelers playing days, who would have been your emergency kicker? You? Could you have made a 20-yard field goal if needed?
Hell no. I sure couldn't have. And I'm not even going to say I could have. Troy probably, because freaking Troy could do anything. So I think that would have probably made the most sense to me. I'm actually shocked that Ben can't kick field goals. And maybe he's too old now to be able to kick field goals, but Ben's like a really good athlete. Like, he's one of those dudes that's annoyingly good at everything. When he was younger, he'd win at trash kit ball in the locker room. He was great in the offensive, defensive, softball game. He was good at ping pong, and so I think it's kind of underrated how good of an athlete that Ben was. But I would have to think that Daniel Sepulveda could have made a field goal.
That's what we didn't understand.
Healthy, that's what I was going to say. Does he pull a hamstring and get hurt on the play?
Yeah.
Given his history. I wish somebody asked. I wish somebody asked Ben today about the field goal thing, Chris, because I think he would have said, "You know what? If they asked me, I could have made it from 40 yards." Knowing Ben.
No, I think he. I think
he goes.
Punting. I think he goes no higher than 35. I think
he loves the pooch punt.
40 is disrespectful to Boswell, I think, if you say 40. Ryan, we have another one, too.
Guys, and that's the problem, too, though. Now the extra point's so dang far.
Uh-huh. Exactly. We got another one, though, Ryan. So we're all in the studio talking about this on the air. Craig, our producer, pipes in with the following. Now, Craig was a basketball. This is bad, Ryan. Craig was a basketball guy. I know you told a story about giving LaRon Landry a little work in hoops. So we know you like to play. I saw the Papa Shot video. Craig said, if you
lost to Daniel, how was the Daniel Cormier? He's like 5'9" and 5'9" wide. I'm so disgusted with myself.
Yeah, too ripped to shoot free throws, too. I always was told that. You don't want to be too jacked to play basketball.
So Craig says the following, Ryan, so I'll try to explain it as quick as I can. He said if you gave him 100 free throws in the NBA, like he took a player's free throws, up to 100 of them, and he was in the NBA arenas.
Over the course of 82 games.
Over the course of the season. He's taken those free throws in the arenas, crowds yelling at him maybe. He says, I'm making bare minimum 60 out of 100. Anything less, I would be embarrassed. Thoughts?
So, I have a story about this.
Okay.
We won the state championship at my high school in basketball my senior year. I was the runner-up to the MVP. MVP was on my team. All district, all metro, all that stuff. We played in high school gyms. So the state championship was in an arena. Mm-hmm. It was at ULL. And from the free throw line, bro, I shot an air ball in the state championship. I had never shot an air ball in my high school career. Played varsity as a freshman, started as a sophomore, never shot an air ball from the free throw line. So those arenas are different. And with the crowd screaming and all of those things, 100, like to make 60 is really, really good.
I agree. I'm on your side.
I mean, I guess it's to say that if he's shooting 2 at a time, that 5 of those times he actually makes both of them. The rest of those times he makes at least 1, is what we're saying. He's basically saying, you know what, I'm not really going to miss 2 in a row. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe that.
Me neither.
I just don't believe that.
His argument was, I'd block out all the noise, no big deal.
I'm mentally strong.
I'm very mentally strong.
Oh, sure you are.
Dude.
Yes. A guy that maxed out in 9th grade.
So my question, the question you should ask him, in an empty YMCA, if he got 100 free throws, how many would he make?
How many, Craig?
So that's basically like high school practice when you were sent to shoot your free throws. I wouldn't accept anything under 70% for myself then.
Then you're not going to make 60 in an NBA
arena. So 70 there versus...
There's no way then. There's no way.
No, I'm saying I wouldn't accept that. I would have been about an 80% shooter.
Ryan, have you ever seen the old video? Remember Gilbert Arenas? Have you ever seen the video of him shooting 3-pointers left-handed in practice?
And I bet he made all of them.
He made like 95 out of 100. It was insane. Craig, if you're shooting 70 of 100 in your local Y, you're going to make like 3 out of 100 in an NBA game. What is wrong with you?
Bro, Yeah, that's like the most ridiculous thing ever because by his logic, Steph Curry should make every free throw.
Right.
Because this is
pretty much what I said.
This is a dude who's changed his shooting coach has changed what they call a missed shot. If a shot hits the rim, it's a miss now for him.
Ryan,
and he's not 100%.
Bingo. Dead on. Obviously, the Aaron Rodgers is a huge story, and we fantasized about him being the Steelers quarterback in 2022. In your opinion, what's gone on with him today? How much does that tarnish his image around the NFL that there was some deception about his vaccination status? You played in the league, people in the league.
He was immunized. Is that how you say that word?
Yeah, he said I was immunized. Yeah.
Yes.
That doesn't even sound like a real word.
Yeah, he tried to be cute with it. People in the NFL. Do you think that the way he handled this, do you think that's going to negatively affect him long term?
I don't think anybody thinks that Aaron Rodgers is this great dude, though. I just don't. I don't think Aaron. People don't look at Aaron Rodgers probably in the way they look at some of these dudes who they consider extremely likable. And so I don't necessarily think it tarnishes him at all. I think there are probably people who think he's a narcissist, and this isn't going to change that. There's probably people who think that he's arrogant or entitled. I don't think this will change that. But let's really think about the NFL, guys. And I played there, so I can be honest. This is not like a gumbo pot of the greatest humans in the world, right? We have to stop confusing great physical and athletic achievements with great achievements of character. And now, I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers has bad character. Aaron Rodgers is probably a very good human. Aaron Rodgers is a guy who is philanthropic. He's a guy who cares about his community. All those things are true. But if you think people are going to care that he had some gray area on whether he was vaccinated or immunized as to whether or not they want one of the best quarterbacks to ever spin a football to be their quarterback next year, you are out of your mind. Because if you don't have Tom Brady, and if Tom Brady's even sketchy about coming back, you take him to Tampa too. If you don't have Tom Brady or Matthew Stafford or Patrick Mahomes, you take Aaron Rodgers tomorrow. You don't care if he put a fake arm on and got that arm stuck and then took it off. Because it's Aaron Rodgers, guys. Yeah. We let dudes do all kind of way worse things. Bro, AB's back in the NFL, guys. You think this matters? No, sir. This is not tarnished Aaron Rodgers at all. They're going to forget about this as soon as he's back, throwing dimes to Devontae Adams.
So from his teammates' perspective, the one thing I would think about is he's that good. He's the reigning MVP. They're very much in the conversation for that sole bye now in the NFC as a one-loss team. I could see the teammates, Ryan, that's what I'm most curious about, being frustrated that he might have put them in a position to turn a potential win into a loss by doing this, and that might hurt them down the road.
I think the one thing that helps Aaron Rodgers is he wasn't loud about this situation at all. When the vaccination rules became public from the NFLPA and the NFL, he wasn't a guy that was screaming from either side. He kind of handled his business, whether you feel like his business was handled correctly, he handled it very quiet. So I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is that there are people who are vaccinated who are also testing positive. Now, you can come back more quickly if you are vaccinated, and there's different rules for you, but just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you won't test positive. And so I think, listen, I just told you what locker rooms are like and what type of people are in locker rooms. If you think that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be forgiven for this, then you're crazy. I think if he was one of those people that were very loud about whatever his situation was and then he tests positive, I think that's probably more of an issue for guys than actually, testing positive for COVID.
Ryan Clark with us. Ryan, sorry.
Being immunized.
Yeah, that word again. Immunized. Yeah, I have to hear you say it to make sure when I say it, I don't mispronounce it. The Melvin Ingram thing has a ton of different layers to it. there's this kind of this new narrative that, well, maybe the Steelers aren't like the most honest with guys that they bring in from the outside. You were a free agent. That maybe they say one thing and then the coaches handle it or always all along have another plan. He got very, I guess, disgruntled here and didn't want to go along with the plan and being a depth rotational guy. And, they trade him out of here for pennies on the dollar for a 6th-round pick and trade him to a team they're going to play next month and a team that has the same number of wins as them in the AFC. So I'm just curious, when something like this happens again to the Steelers, it happened with LeGarrette Blount, now it's happening again with Melvin Ingram. Ryan Clark from afar, what does he make of it?
Oh, I think it just happens sometimes. And sometimes, you get dudes and you have other dudes that are playing better. He obviously wasn't going to play before number 90 played. and then you have 56 coming in and playing extremely well, too. And so, I tell people this all the time, especially in recruiting for high school kids, right? I'm always like, when a kid doesn't get offered, I'm like, no, if you went to LSU and you played running back at LSU, you would actually be good. It's just that they think the other 2 dudes that they gave scholarships to will be better. And sometimes that happens, right? You get to a place and they think that you might be better than what they have and you might play more, and then those other guys step up and your playing time is cut. But if a team wants you, if a team thinks you add value to them and they believe that you might play and you might help them, they're going to tell you that you're going to play. They're not going to say, hey, you know what, we're going to bring you in, but if these 2 dudes ball, we're going to play these 2 dudes way more than we're going to play you. No, sometimes you think a situation is going to be one thing, and then it's another, and so you pivot. Melvin Ingram wanted to pivot, and the Pittsburgh Steelers allowed him to do so, and I think that's just part of life. LeGarrette Blount, you think you're going to play more than you do, and you don't. That's life. Sometimes you actually aren't as good anymore as you used to be. What a novel idea.
But what happened with
guys,
what happened with Blount though, Ryan, is that he goes to the Patriots, they win. The Steelers are left naked at the position. Then they have Fitzgerald Toussaint in a playoff game. Last year Bud Dupree gets hurt, and then you're left with Cassius Marsh out there. That's the thing. Even though a guy wants that, you get rid of him for a 6th-round pick, you kind of hurt your team.
Oh, I think you can hurt your team, but also having a disgruntled football player can hurt your team as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you have to. I think you have to weigh chemistry. You have to weigh harmony. You have to weigh the energy of the locker room against, this guy might be hurt, and what do we have as a backup? If because obviously I guess Melvin Ingram would definitely provide quality veteran experience depth. And, Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin made those decisions. And I think for, every decision that works out for a team, there are going to be some that don't. And it's like anything else, One negative reaction is worth 5 positive. And so for the 5 times that it worked, it's going to be the 1 or the 2 that it doesn't, that people point to most, because the negative stands out a little bit. So I think you make the best decisions that you can for your team and you move on.
Speaking of that same kind of situation, what do you make of Odell Beckham's what's going on with him in Cleveland now? He's pretty much done there and might just be paid to stay away from that team, it looks like.
I think about the fall from grace more than anything. You couldn't have told me 4 years into Odell Beckham Jr.'s career that he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer, that he wouldn't be more of a perennial Pro Bowler, that he wouldn't be an All-Pro caliber player, that we wouldn't be talking about him amongst the likes of the greats to ever play the position. And I think when you watch it, you feel like you still see the talent is there, the ability to get open, but you see dropped footballs, you see miscommunications, you see inabilities to produce. And so I think it's very, very telling that someone we once looked at and felt that way about may be paid to stay away. And that's for a guy who knows him, for a guy who met him when he was 17. That's hard for me because I obviously want the best for him. He's a Tiger. He's somebody I communicate with. But, sometimes you got to choose the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
They chose Baker.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? That's pretty much what it was. They chose Baker. And what's crazy is here's why you can choose Baker. We have seen in Cleveland Baker Mayfield be a good quarterback without Odell Beckham Jr. What we haven't seen in Cleveland is Odell Beckham Jr. be consistently explosive and productive. And that's where Andrew Berry, the GM of the Cleveland Browns, made his decision. And you can't tell him that he's wrong. I mean, because there was only two decisions to make, right? Keep him and allow him to play, or say, you know what, we can't have these type of things going on in our locker room about our starting quarterback who's already fragile as far as his play. I think it was the right decision to make.
Ryan Clark, you're the best. Thanks, Ryan. We'll talk again next week, buddy.
Man. My man, you guys have a great one.